how much do we believe in? And I mean, this is requiring us to set our heads back to 1998. How much did the streets believe that Bleek was up next? Because I feel like it was 50-50 split.
Ooh.
Not many, but I think he was set. Like he was in the perfect position. Mm-hmm. Like we had no reason not to think it, but it was like some of the music was like we were waiting for that one entire project where we were like, okay, this is it. Yeah. Like I feel like I always tell people I kind of think like Nature fell in that same vein. Like Nature had the perfect launch pad where, yeah, like Nature had the perfect launch pad with that band from TV Verse. And like you had Nas and Queens behind you and all that, and everything after that was just downhill. So it was like Bleek, right? It was like Bleek had those moments, like his verse on Celebration, and he had those moments on Appearances. Like even though we won't get into the writing part of it, but it's just it's still he was a believable character coming from Marcy, looking the way he looked. He looked relatable to Jay. Looked like they're from the same neighborhood. He looked like somebody that we can say, yeah, he looked like somebody that was studying the Jay. You know what I mean? Like coming from that same era, that same area, had that same aura. So we had no reason to believe he wasn't up next until next just never showed up.
The understudy role was perfect. I think that the marketing was a little off. I think they tried to maybe brand him in the Jay-Z mold. Yeah. And I think Beans coming on and being this dynamic like rapper, like this bully, kind of infringed on what we wanted from Bleek. And the fact that you mentioned the writing, like Wise was doing a lot of the penning on Hand It Down and Celebration, some of the greatest joints that we've heard. So it was up to Bleek to kind of master the flow, right? So if you can flow it like Fox flows it, you win. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And there was an essence of trying. He kind of reminds me of where Meek or Petey Crack, like it's always like aggression, and their voices carry different, and their titles are different. Where Bleek needed to find his own pocket where he could still kind of be himself, and just I feel like we just didn't know who he was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We knew him as Jay's understudy, and to be honest, the man was comfortable there. Like, absolutely. That's another thing.
That shadow was warm and comfortable.
Yeah, I'm talking about that undercurrent. This was definitely the underlying agenda of this album, right? If it's probably one of the best setups in hip hop history for a solo career, and one of the worst. To introduce someone as the new you, that's like an automatic sunning position, right?
He knew that. He knew he didn't want it.
Yeah, Bleek was doomed to be called the new and improved Jay. That's hard, man. But then to be given 3 tracks and mentioned all throughout the album as being up next, what a push. There's rappers out here that would have died for that push. So, yeah.
There were rappers within his circle that wanted that push. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which lets you know how strategic this man is.
Right? It would have made more sense for that push to go to a young Chris. At least he was a kid. At least it was justified, right? If you're like, young Chris is going to be the new me.
Yeah. There was a guy named Haz the Ripper who Jay would call to battle everyone. Like to get to him, you had to go through Haz the Ripper. Anybody come up to Rocafella, say they nice, Haz was the one that would, but Haz didn't have the street background, or he just didn't have the connection that Bleek had. Bleek was the hustler that lived downstairs. Like, this is the perfect setup story. Bleek disappeared for Volume 1 because he went back to the streets. That's the type of stuff that Jay likes. Like, Jay don't want nobody that's a rap hungry. Like, I don't want no hungry rapper. I want a street dude that don't need rap, that I can be like, yo, come on, man, come around. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. Like, that's marketing to him. Like that. Nah, I like that image better.
Yeah.
So,
wow, what a shoot. Yeah. Bleek gets 3 looks on this album, and he's being touted. He's being touted as next up. And for a moment in time, for that year, a lot of us believe that. A lot of the hip hop audience.
He's from New York, right?
Yep.
All right, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of hip hop.
You know what? I realize New York has a y'all are just extremely delusional when it comes to this shit, dog. New York is the most delusional hip hop place because y'all, it's New York or bust for y'all. It's like nobody else believed Bleek was like next. Like, we didn't believe that shit. You did, but nobody, none of it. You did. We did
Jay
not.
sold it so hard. I mean,
to y'all, y'all from New York. What part of New York? Are you from Brooklyn?
No, I'm from Harlem.
From Harlem, yeah. Like,
I never bought it. But what I'm saying is this.
But I get what you're saying. He was trying to sell it. Yes, I wasn't buying
it. You weren't buying it at all. I mean, he went hard. No one could ever say Jay did not go hard.
He tried for Bleek. Yes.
I mean, the whole intro is dedicated to Bleek. It's a stunning intro to say, oh, this person's gonna be the new and improved me. Yikes! What an intro. But where people probably should have directed their attention to is the very first appearance of Beanie Sigel.
We did. Now I paid attention to that, but you also got to remember it's a different situation over here in Philadelphia. I mean, I'm not in Philly. I live in Los Angeles, but it's a different situation in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? So we
was on the radar out there.
He was already on the radar. I knew who Beanie Sigel was before Reservoir Dogs.
Wow. Yeah. And he was kind of an afterthought until maybe the next year on this track. Reservoir Dogs, people were still talking about Sauce Money.